A child is born in two different places on the same day, same year, same planet, same human potential. One grows up with clean water, stable currency, cheap loans, and a passport that opens doors. The other grows up where prices double every few years, jobs vanish overnight, and the national debt is larger than the entire economy. By age 30, their lives look nothing alike. Not because one worked harder, not because one was smarter, but because of a set of invisible rules they never voted on and probably never heard of. Rules that quietly decide which countries stay rich and which stay in debt forever. Let's start with something uncomfortable. Most countries are not poor because they lack resources. Argentina has farmland bigger than most of Europe. Nigeria has oil. Brazil has water, minerals, and forests. Yet they borrow dollars. Again, and again, and again. Meanwhile, countries with almost nothing in the ground, like Japan or Singapore, somehow stay wealthy. So what's really going on? It isn't talent. It isn't culture. It isn't even corruption, at least not mainly. It's the financial plumbing underneath everything. The stuff nobody sees. Because money isn't just cash, it's a system. And some countries wrote the rules, others just play inside them. Here's the first rule. Who prints the money that everyone else needs? After World War II, the world had a problem. Europe was destroyed. Currencies were unstable. Nobody trusted anyone else's money. So they picked one. The US dollar. It became the center of the system. Oil? Dollars. Global trade? Dollars. Central bank reserves? Dollars. Even countries that don't like the US still stack dollars in their vaults, because everyone else does. It's like the language of money. If you don't speak it, you don't trade. That sounds harmless. It isn't. Because if the world needs your currency, you can create more of it. And everyone else has to earn it. Think about that for a second. America can print the thing the rest of the world must work for. It's like owning the scoreboard and the points. When the US runs a deficit, it doesn't feel pain the same way others do. It just issues more bonds, and the world buys them, because they need dollars anyway. So America gets to spend first. Everyone else pays later. That's rule one. Control the currency everyone depends on. Now rule two. Debt isn't just debt. It's debt in someone else's currency. This is where countries quietly get trapped. Imagine you run a country and want to build roads, hospitals, power plants. You need money, but investors don't trust your currency, so you borrow in dollars. Seems reasonable. Until your currency falls. Let's say your money drops 30%. Your debt didn't. You still owe the same number of dollars, but now it costs 30% more to repay. Nothing changed physically. Same roads, same people. But suddenly you're poorer on paper. Budgets collapse. Taxes rise. Cuts begin. Hospitals first. Schools next. Then the IMF shows up, and now the rules get stricter. Raise rates, cut spending, sell assets. It's called stabilization. It feels more like selling the house to pay the credit card. Countries enter these cycles over and over. Borrow, crash, austerity, repeat. It's not dramatic. It's slow, quiet, like sinking sand. Now compare that to rich countries. They borrow in their own currency. Huge difference. Japan's debt is over 250% of its economy. If a developing country tried that, markets would panic. Japan? Calm. Because the debt is in yen, and Japan prints yen. Worst case, they create more. You can't go bankrupt in money you control. You just dilute it. Inflation hurts, but default kills. So rich countries choose inflation. Poor countries face default. Same word, debt, completely different consequences. Here's where it gets stranger. Capital doesn't flow where it's needed most. It flows where it feels safest. In theory, money should move from rich countries to poor ones to build growth. In reality, the opposite happens. During uncertainty, investors pull money out of emerging markets and park it in U.S. bonds. The place that needs money least gets the most. The places that need it most get starved. It's like umbrellas flying towards sunny skies, purely because of fear. So when a crisis hits, pandemic, war, recession, developing countries lose capital instantly. Currencies fall, imports get expensive, food prices jump. All because investors clicked sell, not because farmers stopped farming. This is the part that feels almost absurd. A country can be doing everything right and still get punished, because the global system rewards stability, not effort. Now add one more layer: interest rates. When the U.S. raises rates, something weird happens. Money everywhere rushes back to America for higher returns. Suddenly, dollars get scarce. Other countries scramble to get them to pay debts. Their currencies drop even faster. So one decision made in Washington can break housing markets in Turkey or spike food prices in Egypt. It's like gravity, invisible, but pulling everything. Nobody votes on it. Nobody debates it. It just happens. And this is why the phrase developing country can be misleading. It suggests they're just earlier in the journey, like they'll naturally catch up. But if the rules stay the same, catching up is mathematically brutal. Because interest compounds, debt compounds, capital leaves at the worst moments, and the strongest currency always wins. It's like running a marathon uphill while the finish line keeps moving. Meanwhile, rich countries sell a different story. Work hard, innovate, invest. All true, but incomplete. Because they're playing on easier settings, stable money, cheap borrowing, investors lining up to lend. It's easier to build when your foundation doesn't shake every few years. This isn't conspiracy, it's incentives. The system wasn't designed to be fair. It was designed to be stable for the winners. And stability compounds, just like wealth. Here's the quiet irony. Once a country becomes rich, the system protects it. Once a country becomes fragile, the system amplifies every mistake. Success attracts capital. Capital creates success. Failure scares capital. Fear creates failure. Feedback loops, not destiny, but close. So when you hear that a country mismanaged its economy, sometimes that's true. Sometimes it's corruption or bad policy. But often, they're fighting math. Currency math, debt math, trust math. And math doesn't negotiate. Which brings us to now. Global debt is at record highs. Interest rates are rising again. Dollar strength is back. History says stress spreads outward from the center. First, small economies, then bigger ones. Cracks appear quietly. A currency here, a default there. And most people never connect it to the same invisible rules, the same plumbing, the same system built 80 years ago. So here's the uncomfortable question. If wealth isn't just about effort, if debt isn't just about responsibility, if the game itself tilts the board, then how many countries are actually competing and how many are just surviving inside someone else's system? And if the rules never change, who really gets the chance to become rich next?